Good evening. First of all, let me thank Evelyn for inviting me here tonight and for this opportunity. My name is Jerry, and I did 25 years in prison. I went through Kairos number 1 at Phillips State Prison here in Georgia, and I sat at the table of St. Mark. Looking at some of these slides tonight, it's really brought back those memories to me of when I went through my Kairos weekend. And let me tell you, from somebody that was inside, that saw the transformation that takes place inside of a prison after Kairos comes in. These weekend number ones are really the transformational time for these guys. Now, let me give you a little background. Phillips State Prison is a level 4, level 5 prison. A lot of mental health, a lot of hard guys that are doing life without parole, multiple life sentences, people that are never going to get out. And these guys will hurt each other because they've got nothing to lose. There's a lot of anger, animosity at the system, animosity at each other, and it's just a very dangerous place. What I saw after Kairos came in, after that first weekend, again, was transformational. Guys that 2 or 3 weeks earlier had been at each other's throats or wouldn't even speak to each other were walking up, hugging each other, calling each other brother, and telling them they loved them. Now, that thing about I love you, that really kind of got me. When I went to my first Kairos weekend and I walked in on that Thursday night, and here's all these strange people, and they're walking and they're hugging me and they're going, "I love you, brother." The first thing I thought is, these guys are funny. Don't hug me, don't touch me. Nah, I'm okay. I'm fine just where I am. I came down here to get some food and maybe hang out a little bit, see what I could get. Maybe maybe get me a little bit of that sugar, whatever I could get, But and you guys have all seen this. It's that transformation. When I walked into Kairos, and I know everybody always stands up on the 4th day and they're talking about, what was your state of mind when you came in this weekend, and what is your state of mind now? Well, just like anybody else, when I went in there, I was apprehensive. I didn't know what I was getting into, didn't know what Kairos was about. I honestly had not even heard of it. It was a brand new program, something I really didn't know, but my chaplain said, "Jerry, you need to go to this. This is something that can really help change your life." I had some very difficult emotional issues when it came to a father figure in my life, because I didn't have a father in my life. I had none. I had a mother that worked 2 or 3 jobs and tried to raise me, and so I had some trust issues when it came to men, and really wasn't interested in a relationship with God, because the father I had sure wasn't doing any good. What I need a heavenly father for. So that was a big issue for me, was getting past that trust issue. And these men broke these barriers down. And some of the things that I learned about that weekend, about myself at least, was that I'm worthy of love, as something that I really did not think that I was worthy of. I knew what I had done in my life. I knew what kind of person I had been. And I knew what kind of person I was. And I honestly did not think that I was worthy of love. I sure didn't love me. I learned that God loved me through the men and the volunteers that came in that weekend and spoke to us, spoke to all of us, and opened their hearts. They didn't come in there with anything. They were some of the first people that, in a long time for me, didn't want anything from me. They just wanted to give me something. They wanted to give me the love of Jesus, and that was amazing to me. I kept looking for the angle all weekend. There's something coming, I just can't see it. I learned that I can serve no matter what my past is, and it's never too late. They were talking earlier about we don't want to talk about our past. as a result of what I went through with Kairos and the transformation I went through, I changed my life completely. Well, God changed my life. I didn't do anything. God did it. But as a result of that, I got involved with the Kairos prison ministry, and I've continued to stay involved with the Kairos prison ministry. This is what the slide was talking about, that continuing stuff outside. But to talk about the inside, you guys aren't there all the time. You're there for a weekend, and you come in for maybe one day on the reunions. But it's those prayer and share groups. That's the core. When I was involved in a prayer and share group, it was 4 or 5 of us in my dormitory getting together because we wanted to, because God had done something in our lives and had changed us, and we wanted to get in there and we wanted to talk about our problems, and we wanted to share that love of Jesus with each other. And then, of course, when you guys came in and you brought your reunions, and that was just an amazing thing. And talking about being present, I looked forward to those volunteers coming in on that monthly reunion. That was important to me, not because I necessarily had a relationship with any individual, but because I was looking for that commitment to see, are you going to continue to come back? Or is this just kind of one and done kind of deal? And that was important to me, to see those same familiar faces coming back, because whether you realize it or not, those guys miss you when you're not there. If you don't show up a month, they're going to be going, oh, well, where's Bob? Well, where's Judy? Where are they at? Why aren't they here? Because they all have abandonment issues, and they're all concerned about that. I was. Another thing I learned is that people aren't going to judge me for my past. It takes a lot for a person to stand up in front of a group of people that they don't know and say, hey, I did 25 years in prison. But you know what? I'm a better person for it. And because of the work that you guys do in the prisons, you make guys like me and ladies like myself a better person. You give us an opportunity to be that person that can go out to the community and can be a contributing member of society again because of the opportunity that you present. I want to take a moment and tell you a quick story, and this is relating to God being present. So when I was still in, there was a guy that I knew that had been in prison. His name was Tommy. He came in as the 4th day speaker for a Kairos weekend. He had been out for 5 or 6 years. Come to find out, he had stage 4 cancer, and he didn't have long to live. They had asked him to come in. So Tommy's standing up there, and he's giving his 4th day speech. And one of the things he said was, one of the biggest regrets I have in my life is that while I was in prison, I stabbed a man over a debt that I thought he owed me, and it turned out that he didn't owe me that debt. And I stabbed him, and he went off, and I never saw him again. I never got to tell him that I'm sorry and ask his forgiveness. This is how God works. Our Inside Weekend leader walks out. His name's Gino. Gino's passed away since now. Gino walks up to Tommy and says, I'm that guy you stabbed, and I forgive you. That's God. That's work. That's the power that this ministry can have. I saw that firsthand, the healing that those 2 men, one of them about to die and the other one who's since passed away. I mean, you just can't make that stuff up. You just can't. Again, I want to thank you, and this has been such a great opportunity. One of the things I want to talk about is Kairos Torch. When I later got transferred to a prison here in Georgia that has juveniles. These kids were anywhere from 12 to 16, 17 years old. We got Torch in there after we got Kairos, and they allowed the guys like me to mentor those kids in Torch. And it's different when you come in who've never had the kind of life that those kids have had, maybe didn't grow up living on the streets with no mama, no daddy, no money, no nothing, to tell them something. But when a guy like me who's been there, has done 20-something years in prison, is telling this kid, you can change yourself. You can make yourself a better person. If you'll let God into your heart, you can be the person that you really want to be. That was a powerful ministry. I saw Torch change some of these kids, and I saw the mentorship that we were allowed to have with them really have an impact on them. And the volunteers that were coming in were just phenomenal. The last thing is Kairos Outside. My wife, who's sitting right here, Lisa, she went through Kairos Outside while I was inside. Getting to write that letter to her and send that out so that when she had her dinner, it was a shared experience that we were not allowed to have. Obviously, you can't share very much in prison, but knowing that she was going through that Kairos weekend and she was experiencing some of the things that I had experienced, rather than me telling her, she got to experience it. And that strengthened our bond, which is something that I think is very important to us, is strengthening those family bonds and keeping that love alive and keeping that bond going. God bless us. We've been married for 16 years, and it's been phenomenal. As a matter of fact, yesterday made exactly 6 years that I've been out of prison, and just one of those things. I wish I'd have known about that JPay thing, though. Gosh, man. I didn't have volunteers that brought knives and cell phones, and man, that would have been so helpful. But no, really, again, it's my honor and privilege to be here. I can't thank you guys enough for inviting us. I get to do some things occasionally with Kairos when somebody calls me and asks me, and I'll never say no. Beth, where are you at? Where's she at? I went to Beth's church a couple of years ago, or maybe it was a year ago, and spoke at her church, and I think Beth might have been instrumental in getting my name thrown in the hat for this, so thank you, Beth. I'm grateful. But I love Kairos. I love this ministry. I never say no to it. My wife and I have since worked on the outside team with a few Kairoses. I've actually been back in as a fourth-day speaker. Only God can make that happen, because I'm still on parole. But I just believe in helping Kairos in any way, in any form that I can. It changed my life. The Lord changed my life through Kairos, and I can't ever say enough about how grateful I am for it. Thank you.